Hello, everybody. We're back. It's the DJs for week 3.
What's up?
So, I got a little question to start the show today. So, would it make it more entertaining if we included Bill Simmons' guesses with ours to see how far we're off from him and how we compare to what he's doing? Or would you rather us give out like our top 3 picks for the week at the end of the show, or both of those, or neither of those, or option D, something else? If you have a suggestion, just put it in the comments. Obviously, we'd like to make this more entertaining for those that do tune in, so just let us know and we'll try to incorporate that. Also, if we can get to 10 subscribers, we will start doing video. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do it yet, but we'll figure it out. We'll get some sort of video feed. I know a couple people have been asking for that. It might not be pretty, but we'll give it a go and improve it over time. So 10 subscribers to the channel, and we will do video for whichever week we get 10 subscribers. All right. Let's start with the week. What week are we on? 3?
It's week 3, yeah.
All right, so we'll go week 3 lines. And tonight, so we're taping this on a Thursday again. It's not always going to be Thursday necessarily. It's kind of just whatever works for us. But we're taping this on a Thursday, so the first game of the week is tonight, which is your New York Giants against the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco.
And I have to come out, and I was completely wrong last week about Shanahan's record against McVay. Like, it's the exact opposite, in fact.
Yep.
He's 10-4 after last week, or whatever it was 2 weeks ago, against McVay. So I don't know where I got that from, but McVay's won up on him in Super Bowls.
Yeah, so for those that listened last week, it was the opposite. A little confusion there. So I think Josh said, like, Shanahan hadn't beaten McVay, but it's actually Shanahan's beaten McVay the vast majority of the time. So we're not afraid to be wrong. If you've ever done anything like this, you know it's not easy on the spot to pull from your memory bank and get things right. So we'll try to correct that, and we appreciate it when you do it in the comments as well.
On the bright side, given how good I was at that little knowledge nugget, ESPN has reached out and they've asked me to participate in their draft coverage now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because they're always so insightful and knowledgeable about what's going on in the NFL.
Man, that's a huge opportunity.
Huge, yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, I feel we'll be just as wrong there as I am here. I'll fit right in.
All right, let's get to it. So we got Giants at 49ers tonight. What do you got for this?
Just the Niners look terrific, right? They look pretty great, and they're still doing it with the guy who was drafted last in the draft last year. So I don't know, the miracle season. I got him giving 7.5 Niners.
All right, Josh has 49ers minus 7.5. Yeah. I went way higher. Wow. I went 49ers 14.5, which in retrospect was not a great guess. I'll admit that. So let's see what we got for this one. So it opened at 10, and it looks like most places it is 10.5. So it opened at 10. It went up a tick to 10.5. So I guessed 14.5. Josh is at 7.5, and we're pretty close to equally wrong on this one. So 49ers minus 10.5 is the line. Josh is off by 3. I'm off by 4. So Josh gets that one.
2 touchdowns feels right. You can't wash away the stink of a 40-0 loss.
Yeah. So I don't know. The reason why I went so high, the 49ers, they didn't play real well against the Rams. In fact, they could have easily lost that game. I think it was tied 17-17. Stafford throws a ball right to the hands of his receiver. The guy pops it up, tips it up, and the 49ers intercept it.
Yeah.
And after that, I mean, you just can't give breaks to teams that are so consistent on offense and defense, even when they're having a bad game. And then after that, the 49ers took the lead and kind of never looked back. So you got the Giants. I wonder if they played Arizona in Arizona, and then they go to San Fran on a short week. I wonder if they
Stayed West Coast.
stayed West Coast, or if they flew back and forth.
That would have been dumb.
Maybe I'm making too much of flying around the country and how it affects these teams. I mean, they're professionals. You'd think they could figure it out. But I know last year, I think it was McDaniel and the Dolphins, they stayed...
Was it like 3 weeks or something?
Yeah, they stayed out east or no, they stayed out west.
Yeah.
Game to game instead of flying home and having distractions and whatnot. And I don't think it really worked out that well for them. I think they lost 2 out of 3 of those games or a couple games in a row. But at any rate, I mean, the Giants didn't score a point for 6 quarters to start the year. They barely beat the Cardinals, who, I don't know, I guess the Cardinals have covered 2 weeks in a row. Maybe they're better than most people think they are. But
Cardinals are still one of the worst teams in football. They're bottom 4, right? Like, they have to be.
I would agree with that. I feel like they're playing harder than some of these other teams that are kind of in the middle. But, how are the Giants going to the 49ers tonight and keeping that game close on a short week against such a tough opponent who kind of didn't play that well last week, maybe a little extra motivation to play well this week? Barkley's out. He had a ankle sprain, which looked a lot worse than just a ankle sprain. They said it wasn't even a high ankle sprain. Anyway, I don't understand this.
Little Daniel Jones magic, maybe.
But, I mean, if you think about it, the 49ers could be up by 17 in the fourth, and Giants get a meaningless touchdown at the end to cover the 10.5. So, I mean, it does make sense. I just thought it would be a little higher than that.
I still think there are some questions about Purdy and whether or not he's as dynamic a quarterback as you might need him to be as successful and to put up, I think, big offensive numbers. Because his individual stats are, I mean, he's not busting the charts, right? Like, he's not a top 5 quarterback in terms of what the stats he's putting up. So
yeah,
that has to be part of it too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the game plan against the Niners is just kind of don't make mistakes of your own, run the ball, take what they give you, and like you said, Brock Purdy's not going to throw the ball 50 yards downfield and score touchdowns fast. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons, but maybe you just kind of hang in the game, wait for a break, and that's how you beat him. But we'll see. I mean, it's a very interesting game after kind of what the Giants did in the second half, erasing a 20-point deficit or 21-point deficit, whatever it was, and winning that game. So we'll see. All right, enough on that game. Let's go to the next one. So we got Falcons at the Lions. What do you got for this?
I have the Lions by 1.5.
Lions minus 1.5. So you got the Lions who are 1-1. The Falcons are 2-0.
Yes.
Josh has Lions 1.5. I have Lions 7.5. And it is, again, basically right in the middle. So it opened at 4, and it is actually down to 3 most places. So Lions minus 3. Josh is off by 1.5. I am, again, way off, 4.5 points. So Josh is going to get that one. So Montgomery's out for the Lions. Yeah. I don't know. I think the Falcons are fairly healthy, although I didn't look at it that closely. I guess the reason why I went high was, the Lions had a dud against the Seahawks, which I kind of expected, if you remember from last week's show. And I just think that this is a bounce back spot for them. They're hungry again.
Yeah.
And they're just going to kind of take care of the Falcons at home. That's why I went a little higher. Yeah, obviously. What do you think, Josh? I mean, you were a lot closer than I was.
I think the Falcons are just a bigger question mark right now to me, which is why I went lower towards the Lions. I think we know exactly what the Lions are. I think this is probably a 9-8 team, maybe 7-8. They're going to win some games. They're just going to be all over the place. They're going to be kind of crazy, but they're going to be hovering around the playoffs. And I don't know about the Falcons. They're 2-0, but this is a team that was a disaster the previous 2 years. You've got a coach who's playing for his job probably. I can't name a significant offensive starter on the Falcons. Quarterback, running back, I'm sure So I just felt like Lions at home. I'd give the edge to the Lions.
Okay. Yeah, so they have Bijan Robinson, who's a rookie, who's
Yeah.
played pretty well so far. And then they got that Ritter, who I think is a sophomore from...
Yeah, he was drafted 2 years ago, I think, with the class with Fields and Lawrence and all those guys.
Yeah, I think Ritter's from Cincinnati. I could be wrong on that. But
That sounds right. That sounds right.
I mean, you talk about... I was just talking about how, like, run the ball, don't make mistakes. I mean, it seems like... I don't think I've watched much at all of the Falcons the first 2 weeks, but it just seems like that's what they're doing. They got this rookie running back who's really good. They're not making mistakes. And, they just beat the Packers by 1, I think it was, on a field goal.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I guess Vegas is saying that those two teams are fairly equal. They give Lions -3 at home, so that's the line. All right, Josh is up 2-0 on me, and I'm up 2-0 after the first 2 weeks. So Josh needs a win to get back in it here.
I do.
All right, let's go to Chargers at my Vikings. What do you got?
I got Vikings given 3 points. I got Vikings -3.
All right, Josh has Vikings -3. I went Chargers -1, and let's take a look. So it opened at Chargers -1, and interesting. It is, most places have it flipped over to the Vikings minus, it's all over the place. There's some pick'ems, there's some Vikings by a half point. One place has Chargers still by 1.5. I don't really know what to do with this. We'll call it Vikings. The most consistent line would be Vikings by 1. So we'll call it Vikings 1. Which means we're both off by 2 points. That's a tie.
Tits.
Okay. This game to me, it just seems like, well, you can see the lines jumping around.
Nobody knows what to do with it.
Right, and I completely agree with that.
What are these teams,
Yeah, both teams are 0-2. Both teams were kind of sort of expected to be in contention for the playoffs.
Teams. That's right.
Whichever team drops to 0-3, I mean, history has said good luck. You're probably not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
I would like to think the Vikings can win a home game, but if this game's close, which it probably will be late,
coin flip.
I trust Justin Herbert to make more plays than Kirk Cousins. I just do. Like that play last week against the Eagles where Cousins just got smoked from behind. Now, granted, his line should be blocking better, but that's the one thing out of Cousins that I just don't think he feels the pressure from the backside like some of these other quarterbacks do. It just seems like Mahomes and Burrow and Allen, they step up or they scramble. They just can feel it coming. And there's a lot of times where he's just Statue of Liberty and just gets smoked, fumbles the ball, and the other team gets it. So, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to think the Vikings can win a home game. I just don't see it happening. I think the Chargers will make more plays down the stretch. And Eckler was out last week. That's obviously a huge thing, whether he plays or not. And I'm not even up to speed on if he's questionable or doubtful or in or out for that game. All right. Let's move on. So we have Saints at the Packers. What do you got for this one?
I have the Packers giving 3 points. I know the Packers lost. I still think this is just like the previous two teams. The Packers, Chargers, Vikings. I just feel like there's not enough tape yet on any of these teams, and their Vikings and Chargers are. I know they're weird. I feel like all of those are two teams, maybe the most teams in the NFL that are decent enough, but they leave so many plays on the field. And the Packers are kind of right there too. Now, I don't like LaFleur as a coach, but he's proven me wrong so far. And Jordan Love, I mean, maybe he's a top 15 quarterback right now. Like, is he the 15th best quarterback in the league? Maybe. I like the Packers. I just don't like this. I don't like Dennis Allen. I don't like the Saints. I know I think they're 2-0 right now, but I think I'm out there.
All right,
Saints.
So Josh has Packers by 3. I have Packers by 2.5. And the line is Where is it? Okay, so it opened at 2, and it is steady at 2 all the way across the board. So that one's not moving. So Packers -2. So I'm going to get that one. Josh was only off by a point. I'm off by a half point. But I get that one. So we're 2-1. Josh is up 2-1, and we have one tie so far. I don't know. This is another one of those where both teams seem fairly equal. I mean, the Saints, I feel like the Saints, they're 2-0, but they got a really good defense. You got Derek Carr. Kamara's coming back, I think, week 4. I don't know. They're 2-0. I feel like they could have played a little better. But, against the Panthers, they kind of went on the road, took care of business. That game, it was tied 6-6 in the third quarter, but then they scored a couple times, and the Panthers had that backdoor touchdown, 2-point conversion, seemingly meaningless, and guess what? It settled right on 3. Saints by 3. All right, so I get that one. 2-1, Josh, at this point. We'll move on. Texans at the Jaguars. What do you got for this one?
Well, Texans, one of the other teams that I think is probably one of the worst 4 in the league, sort of the division of terrible. The Jags seem to be doing it right. Lawrence seems to be coming along. I had them favored by 8 points. I had the Jags favored by 8.
All right. Josh has Jags by 8. I was, again, way too high on this. After guessing this, I actually looked to see if I messed up, and this game's like in London where there's not really a home field advantage because I was off so bad. But I have Jags by 14. I mean, the Jags look terrible. They couldn't score a touchdown against the Chiefs, but, it's the Chiefs. It is what it is.
It should have been a little more competitive, it felt like, given everything we want from them, but...
Right, so Josh goes 8, I go Jags 14, and it is opened at 10, and it's going down. It is 9 is the one. Jags -9. So Josh is only a point off on that one, so he gets that one. This is awful. I'm off by 4 or more for the third time already. So I guess I read something about Stroud's quarterback rating is pretty good. He's kind of the best of the rookies.
He's playing the best. That's right. Yeah.
Better than Bryce Young.
Yep.
Bryce Young's playing very conservative, it seems like, and I'm kind of surprised by that.
I just think now maybe Frank Reich sucks as a coach. Started the podcast and said how good he was. Now maybe I think he kind of sucks.
Yeah.
That organization. Think about this now. New owner, new coach, new QB for the Panthers. No.
Yeah.
Got to be out on the Panthers, I think, going forward. I know we're not talking about the Panthers, but...
And, I mean, again, they played against the Saints defense, which is, they were saying on the broadcast that they're probably one of the top, I think, 5 defenses you'd say in the NFL. So that's obviously tough for any rookie quarterback. But getting back to the Texans-Jags, so Stroud's played pretty decent overall, even though I think they're 0-2. I don't know. I guess it's more than a touchdown and less than 2 touchdowns. It's kind of right in the middle there. In retrospect, I guess it does seem like a fair line. And I was way off again. I am terrible. Terrible this week. Terrible.
Maybe we can get Barkley as a guest.
Yeah, that's what we need. Maybe that's option E. Should we have guest pickers on here? I'm sure we could pull Barkley in.
What else is he doing right now? Basketball hasn't started yet. Is he golfing, gambling? Come on.
Golfing. We'll golf with him before this, and then we'll do the show.
That sounds amazing.
He'll fly in for free. Totally. I know he will.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's move on. Broncos at the Dolphins. I have Dolphins by 8.5. What do you got here?
I'm right there. I'm at Dolphins at 8. They just look like magic right now in offense. I don't think people are talking at 9. I guess maybe it's because it's early, but they're all talking about Tua and how, I think Goody looks as a quarterback, and they're all waiting for the injury, but just the cohesiveness, the fluidity of that audience, how dynamic it is. 4 years ago, everybody was talking about Sean McVay, about like how amazing he was, how innovative the offense was, this and that. I feel like McDaniel, not that he's using the same offense, but he's got his own sort of offensive magic. Nobody's talking about that. That's really kind of weird to me.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably the most fun team to watch.
Yeah.
McDaniel is one of the most creative play callers.
That's right.
Tua's super accurate and makes good decisions. His line is holding up for him, and they have playmakers all over the place.
Best wide receiver right now, right? Like Tyreek Hill's like best wide out.
Right. So, I mean, it's really the perfect formula for success.
So good, man. They beat the Patriots. That's awesome. Screw the Patriots.
Yeah, they
Good
won
times.
at New England.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, kind of like a trap spot on the road.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
beat the Chargers in kind of a high-scoring thriller.
Mm-hmm.
And they took care of business. Although, did you watch the end of that Patriots game?
No.
Okay, so Mac Jones on 4th and whatever it was, 4th and 7 or something like that. He throws it out to, I think it was Gesicki.
Okay.
Catches it, starts trying to stretch for the first down, realizes he's not going to get it. He's still up. He flips it over a linebacker or D-back's head to an offensive lineman for the Patriots, who lunges forward, and the Dolphins defensive player is trying to strip the ball and like yanks at it. He falls down. I think they gave him the first down initially. It was really close.
Yeah.
And then they reviewed it and they determined that his elbow hit and the ball definitely didn't reach the marker, but it was really close.
Okay.
So anyway, if they get that, I think there was like around a minute left, maybe 30 seconds, and they were I think they were across midfield. So, that sets them up 1st and 10. You never really know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were talking about, if they score, does Belichick go for 2 to win it in regulation, or is he going to kick the extra point? Obviously, none of that happened, but it was in a game that was dominated by the Dolphins. It came down to a play where if they get that, they have a real chance to
win.
To punch it in the end zone. Although, I don't know, is Mac Jones going to go another, whatever it was, 30 give or take yards and get it in with less than a minute to go?
Boston fans would say no.
Probably not, but it was exciting.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's just good football from that team. Like, interested to see where they end up this year. Definitely a team to watch.
So this line opened at 6.5 for the Dolphins, and it's stuck at 6.5. So just under a touchdown, which is interesting to me. So Josh he undercut me by a half point, and he's going to get this one too.
I went $1, man.
Yeah.
I went $1.
All right, so Josh gets that one. He's ahead 4-1, and we have one tie. So I guess in the NFL, you got two teams, like the Broncos have played well in the first half of both of their games and terrible in the second half.
People have convinced themselves that Russell Wilson is back.
Yeah, so this is a weird one. The Broncos' defense should be way better than it is. They gave up 35 points last week. The Broncos scored 33, and it wasn't enough. A lot of people are still blaming Russell Wilson like he should be doing more. I don't know. He's playing better than he was last year, but he also has a little bit better play caller in Sean Payton versus Nathaniel Hackett, in my opinion anyway. So I don't know. I don't think we know yet. The one thing I think we can say is from last year to this year with the Broncos, you just can't really trust them. Like, you never feel like they're going to just salt away a victory, get up, and keep a lead.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, this is less than a touchdown for the Dolphins.
It's a lot of Broncos love, I feel like.
Yeah. And the more I think about this, I think the Broncos keep it close, and then they just either blow a late lead or just can't get over the hump again, just kind of like they've been doing for the last, year plus.
Maybe this line is good because the Dolphins definitely feel like a touchdown more, and maybe not much more than that as I think about this. But I also feel like I don't think the Broncos are one of the 4 worst teams, but they just also feel like a pretty crappy team. I don't know, maybe that's just a hangover from last year.
Yeah.
Where they had the coach that 3 games into the season, they needed to hire a coach for him. So they have a coach's coach.
We need a coach to manage the game for our coach who's supposed to manage the game.
That's right. That's
All
exactly what they did, yeah.
Let's hire one of those. And then we'll fire the guy who needed the other coach after
8
a few more games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was going well in Denver last year.
Keep my coach's name out of your mouth.
Somebody needed to slap that franchise last year.
So I'm going to go ahead and say it. I mean, I just think the Broncos are going to cover somehow. I just think
Really?
that's gonna-
Wow.
I
Okay.
do, because I just think everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, Broncos 0-2, Dolphins 2-0. Everyone, isn't everyone just saying, "Oh yeah, the Dolphins will win by at least a touchdown"? Of course they will. Look at how
Yeah.
awesome they are.
Yeah.
In the thriller in L.A. and the primetime game against the Patriots, and they're so good. I don't know. I just think that's the public opinion, and it's usually not right.
And they're not blowing the doors off. It's not like, they've won both of their games by double digits or anything like that. They've been relatively close. Patriots by a touchdown, Chargers by 2 points. And like you were saying, Patriots had one ball bounced their way. Maybe that's a field goal. I mean, famously, right? They went on field goals. Maybe that could have taken it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. So we'll move on from that one. We'll go, next one is Titans at the Browns. I need wins quickly if I'm going to have a chance at this week. So what do you got for this?
I have the Browns for some reason by 4.
Browns by 4. I have the Browns by 3. Obviously, the big story here is Nick Chubb is done for the
Yes,
year after that
out.
horrific injury. So Jerome Ford assumes the duties at running back. They also re-signed Kareem Hunt.
That's right. Yep.
So I have Browns by 3. Josh has Browns by 4. Basically saying these teams are fairly equal. And it is 3.5. So open at 3.5, pretty much 3.5 across the board. So we are going to split that one.
That feels right. I just think this is another game that I feel like could go either way. If you had said this game was a push and Falcons Lions was a push, Saints Chargers Vikings, these feel like very close games.
Yeah,
Very
I
close.
agree. So the Titans have played 2 one-score games. I think they lost by a point to the Saints.
Yeah.
And then they kicked a field goal. I don't know if it was as time expired or not, but kicked a field goal to beat the Chargers. It's what the Titans have been for the last few years, basically under Vrabel. They're just going to play super physical, not make mistakes, and be in most of the games they play. So they're 1-1. The Browns and the Titans are both 1-1. Like I said, Chubb is done for the year.
Yeah.
These two teams both like to run the ball, play good defense. It's kind of like, who do you like? Browns are 3.5. They're saying they're pretty equal. Similar styles, I would say. Maybe Watson tries to push the ball down the field a little bit more than Tannehill, but
Certainly more capable quarterback physically.
right. And he's really good at getting face mask penalties on defenders. He had two against the Steelers. He's like, I don't want this guy to tackle me. So he puts his hand out, stiff arms their face mask, and then just grabs on and kind of flings the guy. He did that twice, which is impressive. I mean, if you had the prop on that over 1.5 Watson face mask penalties, then props to you. All right, let's go on.
Alrighty.
We're about halfway done, and I am still getting crushed 4-1. Bills at the Commanders. What do you got?
I went Bills here. I'm a Josh Allen believer. I got 6.5 for the Bills. I got them getting 6.5.
Bills 6.5. I went Bills by 3. And it opened at 6, and it is 6.5. That is a right on the dot, half point. That's tough to do. Josh gets it right on. And I'm going to admit that I feel like the Bills have been getting a couple extra points compared to what I always think. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. I guess they're just better than I think consistently.
I think people just they look at Josh Allen and they see somebody in the Patrick Mahomes vein who, if they need 7 points, like he can throw 7 points on the board relatively quickly. And I think for him, it's more mystique than fact. Like Mahomes has done it. Like Mahomes, if you need 14 points, he can get you 14 points in like 2 minutes. I don't know that Allen has that skill or talent, but I think there's the perception out there that he can.
That's true. Even in the lousy game against the Jets, where the Jets defense was playing really well and he kept turning the ball over, they needed a touchdown to tie it, and he got them the touchdown to tie it, to push it to overtime. And then obviously overtime, he couldn't drive the ball and they punted and it was returned for a touchdown. But I guess that's a fair analysis for sure. All right, Josh hits that one right on the head. So now we're moving on. Josh is up 5-1. Colts at the Ravens.
I have Ravens by 4.
All right. Ravens by 4. I had I'm way the other. Well, I have Ravens.
Richardson's injured, right?
I have Ravens by 10. So Richardson is, well, when we look at the line, I think it'll tell us whether he's going to play or not. But I haven't looked recently at whether he's going to play. So the line opened at 8.5, and it moved to 7.5. So I'm going to barely get that one. So Ravens minus 7.5. I get that one. So I'm gonna say that means he is playing, but I haven't looked at it. So he had a concussion, and obviously we know whether do you get cleared for a concussion 1 week or 2 weeks. It seems like it just kind of depends on whether you're passing the protocol, how severe it was. But
feels like there are gradations to that. Yeah.
I mean, the Colts have played decent the first 2 weeks, I would say. The Ravens are 2-0. It's a little over a touchdown. I think that's pretty fair. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I do like it. I think I like the Ravens. Again, I've said this, I think 1,000 times. Harbaugh's a good coach. It's a good organization. It's well run. Quarterback's happy now. Talented quarterback. You have quarterbacks like you do in the Ravens or in the Bills or the Chiefs. Good double-digit lines kind of make sense. Like high-scoring lines make sense. So this feels right. And the Colts have been a disaster since Andrew Luck left. So this feels right. A touchdown, maybe a little more. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see who comes out on top in that one. I don't really have a lot else to say about the Colts and the Ravens. I mean, maybe if Richardson hasn't made it through a full game yet, maybe this is the week where he plays and he makes it through a full game. Yeah. He scored 2 touchdowns before he went out in the first half last week, but he's getting something beat up.
Yeah.
What you can't have longevity in the NFL if you're a running quarterback just constantly running the ball. Like, it just doesn't work.
Injuries are going to hit.
You're going to get hurt. So we'll see how they manage that.
On the Ravens, at the bottom, the Ravens feel like a playoff team. The Colts aren't. The Colts aren't making the playoffs this year, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Okay. Patriots at the Jets. So you've got Jets are 1-1. Patriots desperately need a win, but they're on the road at the Jets. Zach Wilson's Jets. What do you got?
And specifically because of that, Zach Wilson's Jets, I have the Patriots by 3 on the road.
Okay, Josh has Patriots by 3. I had Patriots by 1, and it is, if I could find it. Okay. It is Patriots it opened at 2.5, and it is still 2.5. So Josh is going to get that one as well. So we both were pretty close.
That feels like it. This is a bitter rivalry. Both teams don't feel like they're very good.
Yeah, so here's my perspective on this. The Patriots need a win, right?
Yeah.
Like, people are going to think, they're going to go get the win. Belichick's not going 0-3, but the Jets have a really good defense. They're probably going to keep it close. Patriots have probably a little more to play for, a little bit better quarterback. Jets probably have a little bit better defense, but, I mean, you give the Patriots, you make them a slight favorite. I think that's just a fair line. I don't know. Don't have a strong feeling one way or the other on that one. Moving on.
No, also, probably going to be a very boring game. That's my prediction. Maybe the least interesting game of the day. Patriots-Jets.
Yeah, run the ball, throw some
grind it out.
slants.
Yeah, sloppy quarterback play.
Yeah, good defenses.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm
solid.
going to make it a point to
No.
flip that one on very often. Okay, so we have the Panthers at the Seahawks. So the Panthers are 0-2. The Seahawks got the win at the Lions.
Overtime.
So now you got Bryce Young going to Seattle. And I don't know if you used to always hear about the 12th man and how hard it was to hear in Seattle and stuff. It doesn't seem, maybe it's just because the Seahawks aren't as good as they were.
I think that's it.
But you just don't hear as much about it.
Yep.
But you got a rookie quarterback going to Seattle, which used to be a very difficult place to play. I have the Seahawks by 8.5. What do you got?
I have them by 7. Seahawks by 7. And I think I probably underbid this.
All right, Josh has 7. I have Seahawks by 8.5. It opened at 6, and it is pretty much 6 almost all the way across the board.
It just seems low, honestly. Somebody
Yeah.
doesn't like the Seahawks.
Yeah, so Seahawks by less than a touchdown. I mean,
They're home against a bad team with a not very good quarterback.
right.
That seems really, really low to me.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks have been Jekyll and Hyde so far this year. They had a good win at Detroit.
Yeah.
They probably, most people were picking them to beat the Rams at home in week 1. The Panthers come in. I think, the Panthers run the ball decent, have a good defense. I guess it's fair that it's less than a touchdown. It's not like the Seahawks are one of the elite teams in the league.
No.
If the Panthers played good defense and don't make mistakes, again, a lot of these games just seem like it comes down to a field goal, or maybe the Seahawks are up by a touchdown and the Panthers, or maybe 10 points, and the Panthers get a late score to cover this. I think it seems like a very fair line.
That's weird. This to me, and it maybe just centered too much on last year. People loved the Seahawks last year, and they were going on and on and on about Geno Smith, and he got his contract, and he's sort of set Pete Carroll up, and now this year, I think that's cooled a lot. I think that's impacting where this line is at. But I think 7, even double digits, might have made sense. The Panthers just aren't very good. Again, Panthers in the loser division, the terrible division. They're one of the 4 worst teams in the league, I think, right now. So,
All right, there you have it.
yeah.
Okay, let's move on. So we got
I can't even say it without laughing. Laughter precedes words.
we got Josh's Grizzly Bears against
Oh, God.
the Chiefs.
Did you hear this? I can't believe this didn't blow up more. Their DC resigned yesterday. They do not have a defensive coordinator, the Chicago Bears. Because maybe the FBI not only raided his house, but maybe Hallis Hall, which is where the Bears organization lives. What the hell is going on? The quarterback is throwing the coaching staff under the bus, saying he's overcoached, which is why he's playing poorly. The quarterback is playing terribly. And, the DC is maybe under investigation by the FBI, or the former defensive coordinator maybe under investigation by the FBI.
For what? Do they know?
No idea. The only thing, the statement the Bears released, and some guy on TikTok centered on this, was like, the FBI did not raid Hallis Hall today. This is what they said. Today. Yesterday, A few
Okay.
weeks ago. We don't know.
So, no, I did not know that.
Yep.
And
Dumpster fire.
I don't know what to make of that either. So you have the Bears, who are
Terrible.
definitely one of the worst teams.
Worst
in the
team.
league.
I think at this point they have to be the worst team.
The Chiefs have not played like the best team in the NFL,
No.
but they're at least, like you're not going to say they're not a top 5 team, probably
Oh,
a
for
top
sure.
3 team. So you have
Contender,
one of the
no doubt.
worst against one of the best. Whenever this happens, it's historically almost always it's at least 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
And if it's like the best team against the worst team and the best team's at home, sometimes you see up to like 20 points. So I didn't go that high. I went down halfway in between 14 and 20. I have Chiefs by 17.
So I have them by 14, and 20 sounds right. Like there's nothing. They're at the Chiefs. Of course Nagy's there. He's got a little bit of revenge planned. So maybe I should have gone the Bears. Nagy's terrible. But no, Chiefs by 14 at least.
So it opened Chiefs 13 and it's down to 12.5. So
That's ridiculous.
I mean, okay.
Is Mahomes injured?
So I do have a theory for this. I don't know why. I mean, I expected it to be higher, but I have a theory for this. I feel like in the NFL, whenever literally no one expects a team to keep it close,
Yeah.
the Chiefs even don't expect them to keep it close. So the Chiefs are like, well, everything's going to work against these clowns. They don't have a quarterback who can even throw the ball.
Nope.
FBI is raiding the house of the defensive coordinator. You name it. Everything's going one way.
Yep.
And the dog covers most of the time. Like, it just, I don't know, it just seems to happen. So
Maybe if they throw the playbook out the window and just go, Justin Fields, just run. And then if you're running and maybe you see an open receiver, just throw the ball. Just see what happens. And they take everything, just throw the offense completely out the window and just go be athletic for 4 quarters.
we're going to push the ball down the field.
Yeah.
I know you can't see that they're open.
Just throwing it away.
Yeah. Force it a couple times
Yeah.
and see if they catch it.
Do that to more, man. Like, they've got
Yeah.
one of the best receivers in the game, maybe.
Yeah, what? I mean, maybe that's just what's going to happen.
Maybe.
The other thing here, I feel like this happens a lot in sports too, is so the defensive coordinator resigned.
Yeah.
It seems like in the short term, a team will respond positively to a coach getting fired or a star player going down. In the short term, they will kind of have some extra juice to play better because they know they need to make up for it. And then that kind of wears off. And then after a game or two, it's kind of back to what we were expecting them to be without that coach or without that player. So that's another thing that's at play here. I'm just telling you, like, I just think Chicago is going to be the right side here when it all comes, when all is said and done. And I mean, I also won't be surprised if the Chiefs,
Annihilate
it's just
them.
a business trip.
Yeah.
Well, they're at home, but a business trip, and it's, they win by 30. I won't be surprised by that, but I think the Bears is the right side here.
Yeah. The bigger question is, if the Bears get shellacked by the Chiefs on Monday, is anybody still left? Like, do they have they let the coach go or the offensive coordinator? Like, what happens?
Right. And Fields, I don't know, I don't think you bench Fields, but
There's nobody behind him. Like, what do you have? There's nothing there. I mean, you can lose and get draft position with Fields. You might as well see what he has.
and I mean obviously, Fields hasn't been great at throwing the ball downfield.
No.
But after this last game, and I don't know that I watched much of it at all against the Bucks, but like the people who hadn't given up on Justin Fields yet, a lot of them kind of threw in the towel after this game. So he must have played really poorly.
There were a lot of open receivers, man. Like, there was a lot of just no progression. Like, either starting from the middle of the field and only going this way, or like just the quick scan and like missing like 2 open receivers, because they've got that great camera angle now where they sit it right, behind the quarterback and you can see that view. I remember one play specifically down to the goal line. He had 2 receivers like right here. Like, one was running a curl route, and one was just like straight streaking to the end zone. They were both open. But he looked. You saw the helmet. Right. You didn't see it. Went here. Then he tried to run and was set. And it was like, just throw the damn ball.
Okay, so I mean the Vikings aren't playing well, but at least Cousins can throw for 300 million yards when they're getting stomped and actually kind of bring them back.
That team's gonna win 9 games.
The Vikings?
Yeah. I think they'll win 9 games.
Well, I sure hope they do.
And then with the 7 team in the playoffs, that you could sneak in. No, 9-8.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you're optimistic, but
just looking at it from the perspective of where the Bears are, it's like you have to be optimistic about every other team.
That's fair. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
We got 4 left. So we got, speaking of really bad team against a really good team, we got Cowboys at the Cardinals. What do you got here?
I think the Cowboys, oh man, I hate to say this because I don't think McCarthy is a good coach. But they certainly have maybe the best defense right now. They've got the best defensive player. I got them by 10. I got the Cowboys giving 10 points.
All right, Josh has Cowboys by 10. I went Cowboys by 9.5. And it is higher than that. It opened at 13, and it is going down. It's down to 12 most places. So, that's not right. So Cowboys by 12. Josh gets that. I am officially, a while ago I was mathematically eliminated from winning this week. So Josh is up 9-2 with 2 ties. Okay, I mean, we knew the Cowboys were going to be favored by quite a bit. It was just how big does the number go? It's 12. For a road team, that is about as high as it gets. I mean, sometimes you could see 14, but that's that's high. The Cards have covered the first 2 weeks. Seems like they're playing hard. Obviously, they're not very good. I don't know. It's a home underdog. So, 12 points can be a lot to cover. The Cowboys beat the Giants by 40. They struggled a little bit with the Jets, but then ended up winning pretty handily. I don't know. I forget what the final score was, but...
You know whose name I've not heard mentioned once this season? Kyler Murray. Is he injured? Does he still play professional football?
Yeah, he's injured because I screwed up that line. I forgot that he was hurt.
Okay, so hasn't been playing.
Yeah, no, he's coming back from, I think it was an ACL.
Yeah,
He'll be... I think it's possible he's available this year. I think it's probably he's available, but it's one of those things like the Cardinals, if they're 1-6 and he's available for week 8 or whatever it is, he's not going to play.
No, not going to come back.
So that's what's going on there.
Yeah, all right.
So they were up 20-0 and 28-7 or something like that on the Giants. 20-0 at half.
Yeah.
The Giants hadn't scored a point this year, and they blew it. The Giants came back. And Daniel Jones is on my fantasy team. I mean, he was running all over the place and throwing touchdowns.
It's the weirdest running quarterback in history. Do you remember that play 3 years ago where he was running and he was miles ahead of everybody and he just tripped over his 2 feet and fell down?
I do. Yeah.
Just right in the middle of nothing but green grass and him, and then just poof.
The 7-yard line turf monster just
like a felled tree, man. Just
took a chunk out of his shin bone. Yeah, I do remember that. And that's the thing. He runs. Does he run? He runs a sub 4.540.
He's not. But they're doing whatever Dable's scheme is. Just he can run, man. They played the Bears last year, and I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns that game. It's incredible.
Yeah, and somehow he runs a decent amount, but he doesn't get hurt. So
no,
Richardson, you need to watch more Danny Jones tape, okay?
Oh my God. the most out there take in the history of the NFL. Anthony Richardson, go study Daniel Jones. He'll show you how to run that ball.
All right, that's enough of that. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Steelers at the Raiders. We got 3 left here.
Raiders. I got the Steelers giving 1.5. Steelers giving 1.5.
Okay, I have it the other way. I have Raiders by 1.5. I think the Steelers were favored.
They came back. They had that Monday night performance that was...
Whoa, what? Okay, this is weird. The Steelers opened one. The Steelers were favored by 1, and this jumped to Raiders by 2.5.
Oh, wow.
That
is so
let me
strange.
think about that. Dude,
Is
the
Pickett
Steelers.
injured?
Pickett wasn't. I mean, he finished the game fine.
That's weird.
Minka Fitzpatrick was like spitting blood on the sideline after I don't know if it was after the hit on Chubb,
Okay.
but he was like coughing
Oh, Jesus.
and like it looked like he was spitting up blood, and he was out the rest of the game with a chest injury. So that looked kind of serious. Obviously, he's one of the staples of their defense, but
Yeah.
I don't think that would
That's a
make
lot of
that
movement.
line move 3.5 points. That's one to look into. I don't really know what happened there, but
Just a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo love.
yeah, I guess.
Maybe he went big at the tables this week.
The Raiders are going to bounce back this week. The Steelers used up all their energy against the Browns. I think that's what's going to happen. The Raiders.
Definitely. That seems likely. I really, honestly though, I don't like the Raiders here. So the Raiders are now going to win the game, but I don't like them here at all. I like Mike Tomlin and the Steelers here.
And I would go Raiders at home. I don't know.
Like to win outright, you think?
Yeah, I just think they're going
Well, they're
to
giving
win the
points
game.
anyway,
but I don't know. The Steelers' defense was nasty. I
Yeah.
also had them in fantasy last week, and they had scored 2 touchdowns on defense. So
yeah.
can they bring the same intensity 2 weeks in a row? I guess we'll see. And like I said, the Fitzpatrick injury is definitely... It didn't seem to affect him that much last week, but...
Don't they all spit blood? Isn't that like part of the football culture? Just walking around the sidelines, spitting blood.
You have to be a vampire to be an NFL football player or what?
Rubbing some dirt on it and just walking it off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, you have to be kind of crazy to play.
Yeah.
And with all the concussions and injuries, and it's wild out there. It's just wild. All right, we got 2 left. So I'm going to get that one because it flipped. So I had the Raiders by 1.5. Josh had Steelers by 1.5, and it's Raiders by 2.5. So I get that one. Let's go. Let's move on with this. Eagles at the Bucks.
Eagles -6.
All right. Josh has Eagles -6. I have Eagles by 7.5. I think he's closer. Philly, where you at? Philly, there you at? It opened at 6.5, and it is down to 5 as the most consistent line. So Eagles -5.
Yeah.
Josh gets that one.
The Bucks are getting the I played the Bears bump.
Yeah, the Bucks beat the Vikings on the road. Apparently, they had the Vikings defensive signals at halftime. I heard something about that.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Then they beat the Bears at home. Really, they were
10
up
points?
They were up by 3,
Yeah.
and the Bears had the ball deep in
Yeah.
their own territory, like deep in the Bears' territory, and then Fields threw a pick 6 on
Yeah.
a screen,
Yeah.
of course.
That's right.
So, I don't know. The Bucks weren't that impressive if you look at it. I don't get this. Why are the Eagles not favored by more?
The Bucks are 2-0, man. That's it. Like the fact that Baker Mayfield is their quarterback doesn't appear to matter.
Yeah, I guess you just don't get crazy favoring a road team by a bunch.
Maybe it's the heat. They were talking a lot about the heat during the Bears game, and it's going to potentially be hot in Tampa. So
That's
maybe
true.
that's it. Like environmental concerns.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. I mean
Bucks
it's got to
weather.
factor in some way. So
They love to talk about it on TV. Oh, it's so hot out there. Look at them drinking all that Gatorade. Oh my goodness, so hot.
Well, so I don't know if the Bucks do this, but I heard something. This may or may not be true, but I heard that the Dolphins specifically set up the opponent's sideline so that they would be in the sun and the Dolphins would be in the shade
Okay.
during a good part of the game or something like that. And obviously,
That's smart.
like Miami, it gets super hot,
Yeah,
right?
regardless,
So,
but-
like, I believe it. I'd have to look it up to see if that's actually true, but I mean, it makes sense. So it's just like more of a home field advantage. So
Yeah.
whenever the Dolphins are at home, you gotta take them.
That's some tricksy shit right there, man.
Yeah, it's like, what did they? I think the Minnesota Twins got accused of like having fans in the outfield blowing in the Metrodome when the other team was batting, and then they turned them off when they weren't, or something like that. Like it's
crazy.
just these things you could do, or like
the Colts pumping in crowd noise in the RCA Dome. That was another one.
Or purposely heating up the opponent's locker room. I've heard of that one too. The AC's broken. Your locker room.
That's amazing.
Anything to get an edge, I
guess.
Okay, we got one left.
The game.
And I mean, thank you to all of our loyal viewers, or listeners who have stuck around. We're getting a little long-winded, but we're having fun with it. So
best one yet.
All right, one left. So again, this week we have 2 Monday night games. So it's Eagles-Bucks, which we just talked about.
Yeah.
And then we also have Rams-Bengals, which is the last one. What do you got for this?
I have Rams by 5, giving 5. I have Rams minus 5.
All right, Josh has Rams minus 5. And I have Bengals by 4. And it is... So it opened at Bengals 1.5, apparently. I don't know if that doesn't seem right, but... And it's up to, let's see.
Yeah, Bengals are home. I must not have realized Bengals
2.5.
Yeah.
Bengals by 2.5. And so I'm going to get that one. So Burrow tweaked his calf.
Yeah.
And the way I read into it, I think it's more hurt than a lot of people think.
Okay.
I've had calf injuries myself, and I'm an old dude, but I don't bounce back real quick from a calf injury. Obviously, everyone's different, and he's got state-of-the-art rehab and whatnot, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's hobbling around out there, because I just don't think his calf is going to be 100%. So make of that what you will. Bengals are favored by 2.5. You'd have to think if he's healthy and the Bengals are playing decent, that they should be favored by more than 3. So I think that is playing in here, but maybe it's just the Bengals haven't looked good 2 weeks in a row, and when are they kind of going to hit their stride? But also the Rams are 1-1, the Bengals are 0-2. I mean, if the Bengals go 0-3, I mean that's going to be tough for them to win enough games to make the playoffs too. So kind of a lot of things going on there. I don't really have a strong opinion about that. Whenever someone's possibly hurt, one of the skill players, it makes it more difficult. The line's Bengals 2.5.
It's a weird one. It's another weird one where I think these are teams right in the middle of the pack, and I think people wouldn't be surprised if the Rams didn't make the playoffs. I think people would be surprised if the Bengals don't. But given their play this season alone, there's big question marks. Like there's not one of the worst teams. Neither of these teams one of the worst teams in the league. But maybe they could be one of the best. So that's maybe what's at play here too. Just given the straight up home line for the Bengals, just given 3 points.
So a quick recap on this week. I mean, you've got 3 double-digit favorites.
Yeah.
You've got a couple others that are right at a touchdown or over a touchdown. So a lot of kind of bad matchups this week, but I feel like that usually makes for some interesting games. I mean, I'm just going to say this. The Cardinals or who else?
Don't say the Bears.
Don't say the Bears. The Cardinals or the Bears. I'm not saying one of them is going to win. I think one of them is going to make the game very interesting. One of those 2 teams is going to keep it very close. You might say, "Oh, sweet prediction, dude," but most people are saying they're going to win by 2 scores. The Cowboys and the Chiefs. So that's what I got for you.
If the Bears are within a field goal of the Chiefs, that is a huge accomplishment. They might as well give them a Super Bowl trophy for that. I mean, that would be an utter stunner to me.
Or maybe they'll say, "Hey, Justin, this is a dumpster fire. You just go out there and you just run around. You just huck it. If you don't see anyone open, or even if you do see someone open, just run. We don't care if you get hurt. We know you can't throw. We're just going to run you, and then we'll try the next guy." Maybe that's what happened.
If they just let him go, like if they get out of his head, which is what he says the problem is, Maybe. Like, he's clearly a talented athlete. There's just no question.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
to just let him go, maybe that might, maybe that happens.
there has to be I mean, regardless of how bad he is as a
Yeah.
passer, whatever, there has to be a little bit better game plan for what's going on.
There must
too.
be.
Like,
That's the Bears' biggest problem. They hired a bunch of dopes. Keep hiring dopes. Don't know how to teach football, communicate football, have a strategy and a plan. This is awful. None of that works
Yeah.
with this organization.
so we talked about the Dolphins, how they have, they got the head coach, super creative play calling. They got a very accurate quarterback. They got a good offensive line, and they got playmakers all over the field. And then you look at the Bears, and it's like, well, they don't have any of that, at all.
No.
So, all right, enough about the Bears. Enough about this week.
Yes,
we
please.
got a little long-winded, but I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
Go Vikings!
Go Bears.